Hello guys, this is Trinity Storm here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do 7th part of Naruto the Unknown Dojutsu. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
In case you missed it, there will be a semi-finals round, Hiruzen continued, drawing puzzled looks from everyone. It appears that I need to go into greater detail. He cleared his throat and started walking towards the genin. The preliminaries and finals were supposed to be the only rounds. However, the number of participants who passed the prelims exceeded our expectations, so we decided to hold another round, which will be the semifinals. Does that mean we'll have to fight again? Konkuro inquired loudly, capturing the attention of the Hokage. Of course, exclaimed the Sandame, drawing bored looks from almost everyone. He then chuckled slightly. You appear to have misunderstood what I just said. Yes, you will have to fight each other again, but this time not one-on-one. He went on, and they all raised an eyebrow. What do you mean by that, Hokage-sama? Naruto inquired, intrigued by what might happen. Hiruzen's face then took on a solemn expression. The same rules apply in the semifinals round. Last man standing, or rather, men, wins. Because you will all be fighting in two-person teams, he declared, causing everyone's eyes to widen. The names of the remaining participants were shuffled on the electric board above the statue before 3 sets of team fights were revealed. Some genins smiled because they were paired with someone they could work well with, while others scowled because they were paired with someone they didn't even consider a friend. The semifinals and finals will be held at the same time at the village stadium. You have 1 month to prepare for your upcoming battles and train. But keep in mind that the goal here isn't to win. Rather, it's to see if you have what it takes to achieve the Chunin rank. The Kazekage himself will attend the event and help determine which genins are worthy of Chunin rank. He continued, leaving all of the young shinobi to mull over what he had just said. Congratulations again to everyone. Although this is only the beginning, I am confident in your abilities. The Junin teachers all shunshined alongside the Hokage. Your teachers will guide you out of the woods. Make sure to train consistently throughout the month. Good morning to everyone. He finished, bowing slightly to everyone before being led away by the group of Anbu who had been keeping constant watch on him. Sweet! Exclaimed Naruto, ruffling Hinata's dark blue hair. Have you noticed that? Hina-chan, we're going to work together. He gave his trademark grin and thumbs up. We can now train for as long as we want. The girl laughed at his antics before smacking his arm playfully. No nonsense, Naruto-kun, she warned. We're supposed to be training, not being lovey-dovey right now, got it? She gave him a suspicious look and narrowed her eyes at him, causing him to gulp nervously. Yes, sir. There will be no nonsense. The blonde gave a military salute and burst out laughing before Kakashi appeared in front of them, carrying an unconscious Sakura on his shoulder. Naruto raised his brow and decided to inquire. Why is Sakura-chan out cold on your shoulder, Kakashi-sensei? I'm sorry to interrupt the romance, but I think we should get started now, Naruto, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Hinata needs to go to her team as well, and as for Sakura, you and I are going to talk outside this place. So hurry up and say goodbye for the time being. Naruto locked his gaze on Kakashi for a moment before shifting his gaze to Hinata. So, Hina-chan, I guess I'll see you around. What are your thoughts on some training tomorrow? He inquired, rubbing the back of his neck. Perhaps not now, Naruto-kun, she admitted sadly. Every time I leave the compound, Father begins to wonder where I've been running away to. And I'm not sure he'll appreciate it if he discovers that I'm always with you. Oh well, that stinks. I guess I'll just have to wait for you to be free. He took a step forward and leaned in to kiss her temple before waving goodbye as he and Kakashi walked out of the tower, leaving her staring at the electric board, which still displayed all of the semifinal participants' names. I am ready for you, Ni-san, the girl grumbled internally. I will prove to you and my father that I am no longer the same weak girl. Naruto Uzumaki and Hinata Hyuga face off against Neji Hyuga and Sasuke Uchiha. Temari and Sakura Haruno vs Shino Aburame and Kiba Inuzuka. Kankuro and Gaara vs Shikamaru Nara and Dosu Kinuta. Outside of the tower. Hina-chan, you say? Kakashi teased, causing a vein on Naruto's forehead to bulge in annoyance. You already have a nickname for her, but you're not dating. The 2, 3 if Sakura is included, were walking through Training Ground 44 on their way back to the village. Kakashi had been teasing the blonde about Hinata the entire time since leaving the tower. Stop talking, sensei. Naruto yelled. Oh? But it's entertaining to tease you, Naruto. He persisted. Not to mention that you and Ms. Hyuga will be teammates or partners in the upcoming semifinals. I believe you two should devise some sort of ninjutsu combination to demonstrate your love for one another. What are your thoughts? He looked at Naruto, expecting an answer, but he wasn't by his side. His eyes widened as he looked behind him. Naruto smiled sadistically as he held Kakashi's beloved green book. He moved the book closer to it while lighting up his right hand with blue flames, as he had done earlier during his battle with Takaru. No. Kakashi screamed and ran towards him. I warned you, sensei, Naruto exhaled. Be a good boy and apologize now. Then Kakashi kneeled in front of him, bowing to his king like a knight. Please, no. 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 After an hour. Naruto groaned and ran his hand down his stomach. The blonde was starving, and he had forgotten to steal some food from the tower earlier. He and Kakashi had been walking for more than an hour, and any human would be hungry after that. When Naruto asked his Junin teacher if he had any food stashed away, Kakashi took a step back and protectively clutched his green book, making Naruto sweat. When are we going to eat, Kakashi-sensei? He grumbled, grabbing his hair in frustration. I swear right now I'm so hungry I could eat anything. Kakashi came to a halt and stared at Naruto, causing the latter to come to a halt as well, but he wondered why his teacher was staring at him like that. What exactly is it, sensei? Kakashi took a deep breath and placed Sakura on the ground. So, since you're hungry, why not meteor your way back to the village? Simply bring your teammate. He stated emphatically, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? He asked. Kakashi gave a nod. Are you being sarcastic or what? Kakashi shook his head, and Naruto's eyes widened briefly before returning to their original sizes. Then why didn't you tell me about it earlier? On Naruto's head, a tick mark appeared. And I had to go an hour without eating. Kakashi shook his head. You never asked, after all. Just use your meteor. I need to get somewhere. This piqued Naruto's interest. Whither are you going, sensei? I'm going to the hospital. I need to inform Sasuke that he'll be joining forces with Neji Hyuga to take on you and Ms. Hyuga, and I need to check on his condition. Because he was quite unstable when I left him earlier, and he kept struggling while rambling about his brother. Naruto gave him a puzzled look. For a while, the seal on his neck caused him to act crazy, but I was able to put him to sleep before he could do anything. Now hurry up, Naruto. The blonde was hesitant to do it because he wanted to see how Sasuke was doing after Kakashi explained the Uchiha's current condition. He'd always be his first friend, the guy he considered family because he was Makoto's son. Obasan's nonetheless, Naruto sighed and moved closer to Sakura, who was still unconscious. Okay, Sensei? Could you please explain why Sakura-chan is out cold in the first place? I didn't want her convincing me to take her to see Sasuke. And I was thinking about it earlier, so she won't see you use your meteor. Naruto nodded and proceeded to piggyback Sakura before his body was covered in yellow light. See you later, Sensei, Naruto said as he flew away, causing Kakashi to sigh in relief. As soon as Naruto left, he took out his green book and kissed it before hugging it tightly and telling how he defended his precious against the yellow monster. Returning to Konoha. Naruto knew exactly where to drop off his pink-haired teammate thanks to numerous training sessions and bonding time. Her parents never liked it when Naruto came even an inch close to their house, owing to their hatred for the demon, for what happened 12 years ago. When he did come by with the rest of the team, including Sasuke, they would only let Naruto stay outside the front door while welcoming the others inside as if it were home. Today, however, the blonde had no intention of visiting both of her parents. Furthermore, if either of them finds him with an unconscious Sakura on his back, they'll assume he killed her, which could cause quite a commotion. As the yellow light from his meteor faded, he landed in a dark alleyway. He made Sakura lean against the wall behind her while taking a rock and writing something on the wall opposite the pinkette. He gave her a weak smack on the head after writing his message to wake her up. He immediately used his meteor to fly out of there when she began to open her eyes slightly. Now that his problem with Sakura was resolved, he needed to address his hunger. And he knew exactly where to go. He couldn't take it any longer and started running towards his favorite restaurant in the village, Ichiraku Ramen. When he arrived, he noticed Zabuza and Haku eating ramen for themselves. The two of them, including Tucci and Ayame from behind the counter, turned to face the day's newest customer. "Hey, brat!" exclaimed Zabuza, grinning. "How are you?" Hey, Naruto," Haku stuttered, a small blush on her face. "My boy, welcome back. How did the Chunin exams go?" Tucci said with a smile. "Naruto. It's great to see you again," Ayame stated. Tucci approached the blonde as she sat beside Zabuza to take his order. "As per usual, my boy?" Naruto nodded, and the old man grinned before beginning work on his order. Zabuza stroked his shoulder. "Hey, I was wondering how you were doing. According to Hitaki, you whooped your opponents $1 during the fight. Is that correct?" The demon of the mist cackled like a witch as the blonde shrugged. "I never doubted you for a second, brat. I knew you could do it." "Well, to be honest, he wasn't that strong anyway," Naruto explained. "It was simple to find a flaw in his attacks. And he was arrogant as hell. Now that's what I'm looking for from you." Zabuza patted him on the back harder, causing Naruto to grunt in annoyance. "Didn't I teach you well? I'm a fantastic teacher." With a sheepish grin, he began muttering about how much Zabuza had changed since the Land of Waves. "Congratulations, Naruto," Haku said, smiling. "I'm delighted for you." "Thanks. It means a lot to hear from you," he responded, making Haku blush. "How about we watch the Sage's Comet all night as a reward?" Zabuza inquired, prompting Naruto to raise an eyebrow in confusion. "Comet of Sage? What exactly is it?" he inquired out of curiosity. "Seems like you're not aware of it yet, Naruto," Haku said as she sipped the last of her ramen before ordering another bowl. "This was only revealed to me and Oto-sama yesterday. According to Hitaki-sensei, a beautiful comet passes by Earth every 300 years, and it will appear again today. It's called the Sage's Comet, because of its distinct shade of white, which is similar to the legendary Rikudo Sennin. According to the majority of the villagers, it's a lovely sight. Furthermore, it will pass through tonight." Zabuza wrapped his arm around Naruto and drew him closer. "Did you hear that, brat? Tonight we're going stargazing," he exclaimed, laughing aloud, causing Naruto to groan in irritation. At 8:42 p.m., 8 hours later. "The comet will appear at any moment. Every Konoha villager came out of their homes to observe the fabled sage's comet, which only passes by the planet every 300 years. While it wasn't anything significant, the view it provides while flying through the night sky is undeniably pleasing to the eyes. Furthermore, it was named after the legendary sage of the Six Paths, so of course people will take it seriously. Naruto was currently walking through the streets with his beloved Hinata. Earlier in the afternoon, after eating at Ichiraku's, Haku asked him if she could watch the comet with him, but he politely declined, saying he'd be watching with his team. Despite her sadness, Haku forced a smile on her face, which Naruto noticed. He suggested she watch it with Zabuza instead, because she considered the man to be her father. The ice user agreed with his suggestion and left to find her father figure, who mysteriously vanished after they left the ramen restaurant. Naruto had picked her up from the Hyuga compound earlier, and she was excited to see him, and afterwards, the two were trying to find the best spot in the sky to watch the comet. While walking hand in hand with Naruto, Hinata tensed visibly and stopped moving abruptly, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow. "Hey, Hina-chan, what's the matter? Are you sick or what?" he inquired out of concern. She looked at him, pleadingly. "I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. But I won't be able to watch the comet with you tonight," she said, her voice sad, causing Naruto's eyes to widen in surprise. "I don't think my father can handle me roaming the streets at night," she said sadly, looking down on the ground. "Naruto, I really want to watch it with you, but if my father finds out I'm not home tonight, we're both in big trouble." As she leaned against his chest, tears began to flow from her eyes. He attempted to comfort her by patting her back. She stopped crying after about a minute and looked up at the blonde with her tear-stained face, and his eyes were filled with worry and concern. He kissed her temples to try to stop her sniffling. "Listen to me, it's all right," he said, pressing their foreheads together. "Is that what you meant? Remember how I promised you that this would all be over soon? Please be patient, Hinata. Hinata, do it for both of us. Okay?" She slowly nodded. "I'll take you back to the Hyuga compound, is that okay with you?" "Why yes," she replied softly and solemnly. "Okay, Hinata, please close your eyes. Can you help me with that?" She closed her eyes and nodded. "Do not open them until I tell you to," he continued, and she nodded once more. She then felt Naruto holding her arms, and for the next few seconds, she could feel the wind whipping against her and her feet no longer touching the ground. She became perplexed, but she knew she couldn't open her eyes until the blonde said so. She felt the ground beneath her feet again after about a half-minute, which made her even more confused and curious. "You can now open your eyes, Hinata." When the Hyuga heiress opened her eyes, she realized she was standing right in front of the Hyuga compound's front door. She raised an eyebrow and turned her head to the left and right to make sure she was on the street where her clan lived. She suddenly found herself thinking deeply to herself. "How did I get here?" she wondered. "I was with Naruto-kun passing by Ichiraku's ramen 1 minute ago, and the next thing I know, I'm here? What happened?" she asked herself before recalling a specific person. "Alright, I'll just ask Naruto. Maybe he knew what happened." She turned around, about to ask the blonde Uzumaki, but he wasn't there. "Naruto?" she called out, but no one responded. "Naruto?" she called out again, much louder this time, but there was no response. She shrugged her shoulders and scratched her hair in confusion. Strange. What happened to him? Did he already leave to watch the comet himself? She wondered as she entered the compound. "I have a much better view up here," Naruto bragged loudly, while sitting at the top of the fourth Hokage's face at the Hokage monument. "I hope Hina-chan doesn't ask me questions the next time we meet," he thought to himself. He'd just flown Hinata back to her house and then all the way here in his meteor. He wanted to be sure he gets first class when he watches the comet pass by. Maybe tomorrow, I can borrow my scroll from Gigi and train by the forest. It tires me as well whenever I have to activate my Uchtengan to read the scroll that I have. He ranted that he didn't even notice the fabled comet had already showed up in the sky. It was only thanks to the roars of the villagers that he was snapped out of his thoughts. Due to the volume of the people's screams, he covered his ears with his hands. Geez, what's with the villagers tonight? It's not like when he looked up at the sky, he was cut off from his thoughts. There it is! He exclaimed joyfully, standing up and leaping back to the land near the top of the monument. Wow! He exclaimed as he watched the white-colored space rock fly through the sky. I'm almost tempted to fly alongside it. He exclaimed, as images of him flying alongside the sage's comet filled his mind. Yeah, that'd be so awesome! He exclaimed, dancing around in delight. It's so beautiful, Haku and Zabuza were right. He exclaimed, oblivious to the fact that the white-colored space rock in the sky began to slowly change course. When he finally stopped dancing, he returned to look at the comet, only to find it had changed completely. When he noticed the comet suddenly begin to head in the direction of the village, his eyes widened. He shook it off, thinking it was probably just a dream. However, it did not change course after a few minutes. What the hell? He asked himself. Why is it coming here? It wasn't like that earlier. The comet was getting closer and closer by the second. It will crash in the village. He thought out loud, until he observed that altitude the comet was crashing. Wait a minute, it's not going there. It's heading here to my location. He started panicking inside about what he should do to avoid it until an idea came to him. Wait, I think I can stop that. He stopped moving for a second as yellow light covered his body. I'm sorry, dude. But it doesn't matter if people enjoy watching you. I want to live. However, before he could take off the ground and fly towards the space rock, it did the unexpected. It soared above his head and slammed into the trees behind him. As confusion overtook him, he raised an eyebrow. Why did the comet change course? What caused it to crash here? Why didn't it hit him? To answer his own questions, he began walking slowly over to the crash site of the comet but stopped within a meter of his original position earlier. He began to glance between the trees in the village, wondering what he should do at the moment. What should I do? Who knows what kind of trouble I'd get myself into if I went there. But if I don't, I'll miss out on seeing what real space rock looks like. He thought about it for a minute before shrugging. Oh, well. I'll just fly away from here before I get caught, he reasoned as he walked towards the trees where he had last seen the comet. That's one of the benefits of having advanced eyes. He added with a chuckle. The Hokage Tower. Did you see that? Exclaimed Hiruzen, surprised that the comet did not collide with the village. It did, however, crash near the top of the Hokage monument, and it's only fitting that they know where it did. It brought back a terrible memory from 12 years ago, when Minato sacrificed himself to prevent an incoming meteor from destroying the village. Even thinking about it hurt his heart. Captain! He exclaimed to the Anbu captain. Hello, Hokage-sama, he said, kneeling as a sign of respect. There's no doubt that many people would flock to the monument if they heard the comet had crashed there, he exhaled. I want you to bring a squad with you and stop any incoming villager or shinobi from climbing the monument. I'm going to investigate the crash site with Kakashi and a few Anbu. Understood? Good day, Hokage-sama. He bowed his head before rising to lead his men to the village. You appear desperate in this matter, Sandame, Kakashi said suspiciously. Does something bother you? Oh, nothing at all, Kakashi. He replied solemnly. It's just that this event has reminded me of a bad memory from years ago. In response, the masked Junin raised an eyebrow before nodding. I get it, Hokage-sama. Kakashi said with understanding. Let's get started. Who knows if someone has already set foot on the Sage's Comet crash site? I just hope that this night goes smoothly. he concluded before leading the way to the Hokage monument. Hokage Rock. Naruto had earlier followed the scent of smoke when he smelt it, which led him to the crash site of the famous comet that everyone in the village had been talking about. The space rock was at the bottom of a small crater, surrounded by blue flames, which explained the color it was emitting earlier while still in the sky. He leapt into the crater and gazed at the burning rock. For a brief moment, he furrowed his brows before his eyes widened slightly. He took a deep breath and looked at his right hand. I hope this works, he thought as his hand became engulfed in the same blue flames. He then moved closer to the comet's remains, hovering his hand slightly above the fire that was burning around it. When he began absorbing the flames through his own fire, his eyes widened and he marveled at what he was seeing. Wow! Who knew I could do this? He exclaimed to himself, amazed at his newfound ability. Wait, do you think this also applies to regular fire? Oh, I've got to figure out tomorrow, he exclaimed. When all of the blue flames had gone, he exhaled a small fireball towards one of the nearby rock fragments to serve as light. He started looking at the space rock that had almost hit him earlier. He might be able to do something interesting with it in some way. What the hell happened? It's just like any other rock, he exclaimed. It looks and feels exactly the same. Why do people treat it as important if that's the case? He scratched his head, trying to think of something, but nothing came to mind. This is pointless, nothing will happen, he sighed and began to walk away, disappointed that nothing happened. This was a complete waste of time. Why did I even? Before he could finish his rant, an idea occurred to him. Oh, yes. Why hadn't I thought of that before? He exclaimed as he returned to the crash site and jumped back in. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath as he looked at the comet's remains. Sure hope something awesome happens. He began channeling chakra through his eyes. He opened them after a few seconds, revealing his Uchtengan. Nothing happened for the first few seconds as he stared at the space rock with his yellow eyes. After a minute, however, he noticed white chakra seeping out of the 100 rock fragments surrounding him. What's going on? This didn't happen earlier, he thought, perplexed by what was going on. Is this chakra, right? He wondered, raising an eyebrow at the white stuff he was seeing. He turned around to see that all of the white chakra had merged to form a chakra cloud in front of him. Naruto was now completely perplexed. This did not occur previously. This happened unexpectedly when he activated his jutsu. Could his abilities have triggered this? Is this merely a coincidence? He took a step forward, curious and interested, and tried to reach out for the cloud, but it was like smoke and he couldn't grasp any of it. In perplexity, he scratched the back of his head. The chakra cloud suddenly began to move inside him, through his stomach. He raised his brow even higher, wondering what had caused it to enter him. He just shrugged and decided to let it go after a few moments. Okay. I'm not sure what was going on earlier, then all of a sudden this white stuff that looks like chakra goes inside me? He pondered. I wonder why. Is it because I'm able to see it? Or is it because AAARRGGGHHH? He screamed in agony as he collapsed to his knees. The chakra cloud completely infused itself within him. The last of it had just passed through his stomach. In pain, Naruto clutched his stomach. What the hell is wrong with me? Why do I have a sick pit in my stomach? I can't. AAARRGGGHHH. He thought as he fell asleep. Naruto's mental landscape. Naruto's eyes widened. The first thing he noticed was total darkness. What just happened? He asked, rising to his feet. He did a quick scan around him, but nothing was visible. The area around him was completely dark. He activated his Uchtengan to see if anything could be seen, but there was nothing. Am I dead? He wondered before hearing a low voice in the distance. So you have his blood coursing through your veins. Interesting, said the low voice, which sounded like some kind of beast. The blonde's head turned in different directions, trying to figure out who had just spoken. Who's there? He exclaimed nervously. Come closer, said the voice. Naruto had no idea what he was doing, and he wasn't sure it was the right thing to do. As he stood up and followed the voice's direction, he discovered that his legs were betraying him. Naruto Uzumaki, tell me. How did you get such strong eyes? The eyes of the blonde widened. How did you get my name? And what do you see through my eyes? Oh, I recognize you. I've been watching from within you the entire time. The blonde raised an eyebrow in response to what the voice had just said. It just so happens that no matter how hard I try, I can't talk to you. If I had spoken to you sooner, you would not have been alone when Kushina died. When the voice mentioned his mother, Naruto's brow furrowed. His nervousness was quickly replaced by suspicion and perplexity. How did you find out about my mother? And what do you mean, watching from within me? Demonstrate yourself, he said with more seriousness. A grin appeared in front of him, accompanied by red, animal-like eyes that startled the blonde. We finally meet. Naruto, said the voice before light engulfed the entire area, revealing everything on sight. He looked around as soon as the area he was in got some light, but all he saw was pitch-black darkness that stretched for who knows how long. He looked down to see that the source of light was on the water he was standing on. He looked up when he heard loud breathing in front of him and saw a mighty beast in front of him. Red eyes, sharp teeth, whiskers, 9 tails. Reflected Naruto as he examined the monster in front of him, who was simply smirking at the blonde. When he realized who the beast was, his eyes widened and he took a step back in fear. Wait a second, he exclaimed, his eyes widening. You're the Kyuubi, why? Mizuki informed me about you, he exclaimed, gesticulating at the beast. The fox's smirk vanished and was replaced by a sinister glare. That's correct. And now that I've finally met you, I'd like to say, he grumbled. I have no choice but to eat you, he exclaimed, causing Naruto to curl his knees to his chest and close his eyes, crying like a child. Kurama couldn't take it anymore and burst out laughing at Naruto's reaction to his threat. When Naruto noticed a loud laugh that wasn't his, he looked up to see the Kyuubi laughing as if there was no tomorrow. The blonde frowned and stormed over to the beast, pulling on his fur at his fore, all signs of fear gone from him. What's going on? Why the hell are you laughing so hard? Naruto insisted. Before clearing his throat, the Kyuubi finally stopped laughing and gently brushed Naruto off his foot. Sorry, kid, he said flatly while shrugging. Seeing your reaction when I said I'm going to eat you was priceless, he continued, suppressing a chuckle. It's not funny, so stop laughing, he grumbled, a tick mark appearing on his brow, and the Kyuubi simply shrugged. Anyway, he inquired, how do you know my mother? I believe it is self-evident how you know my name, but how do you know hers? As you mentioned, this is our first meeting. You know, kid, your mother was my host before you, he exclaimed, widening Naruto's eyes. What? He screamed, and Kurama smirked at him. How? She never told me you were inside her. The Kyuubi's arms were crossed. She obviously wanted to protect you, kid. How do you think you'd react if you discovered your mother once harbored a demon fox? You'd be terrified, wouldn't you? Naruto gave a nod. Exactly. Anyway, if I could have talked to you at the time, I would have told you the truth in order to mess with her, he joked, raising an eyebrow at Naruto. What do you mean, you could have? Do you mean you couldn't talk to me back then? Kurama groaned. Kid, you have no idea how long I've wanted to talk to you. It's just that the stupid seal was too strong for me to even drag you into your subcons. The blonde interrupted him in the middle of his statement. What kind of seal? Kyuubi, I don't see any seals around here. said Naruto, scanning his surroundings quickly. Would you please allow me to finish? He retorted, prompting Naruto to raise his arms in defeat. Now, let me return to what I was saying before you interrupted. I couldn't get your attention because the seal that kept me hidden from you was so strong. Why isn't it here if it's so powerful? Or were you telling the truth about that seal? Kit, we'll get to that later. I have so much to tell you, and we must begin at the beginning. Remember that this is the first time I've spoken to you, so please bear with me. Got it? Fine, Naruto said, his arms crossed. Just keep it brief but understandable. I could become bored and fall asleep. Very well done, Kit. Why don't you take a seat because we'll be talking for a long time. Naruto took a seat and began to observe the fox in front of him. Okay, your mother came first before you became my host. She was dubbed a Jinchuriki because she housed a tailed beast like me. She was constantly pushed around by other kids back then, but she never gave in. She didn't need my help to deal with them. As a result, she has earned my respect. We didn't have to wait long to become friends. Naruto's pupils dilated. Actually, it's ironic. I'm the last person I expected to be friends with. We became partners as your mother grew older. I always assisted her in her battles, and she became well known throughout the world for her strength and skill. But she admitted to herself that she couldn't have gotten that far without my assistance. As a result, I began to prefer being sealed in a container to traveling the world. Naruto smiled as a mental image of Kushina appeared. It all changed after your father married your mother and became pregnant with you. What exactly do you mean? A masked man kidnapped me from your mother the night before you were born. She was extremely fortunate to be an Uzumaki. A normal person would die if a tailed beast was extracted from them. Through his Sharingan, that man took control of my actions and forced me to attack Konoha. When he heard the word, Sharingan, Naruto's brow furrowed. Sharingan? Did you mean that a Uchiha was in charge of keeping you in check? The fox gave a nod. Anyway, your father defeated the masked man and returned to Kushina. I was still mind-controlled at the time, and I was about to kill them, but I can't do that to the first human I've ever had. I managed to break free from his control and demanded that I be sealed again before he could control me again. Your mother, father, and the current Hokage all agreed that you'd be my next host. That's when your mother made me promise to always look after you and protect you from harm, and she wanted you to grow up to be like her, fighting alongside a tailed beast she considered a friend. Naruto's mouth was open before he coughed to calm himself. Wow, I had no idea Ka-san was friends with you, Kyuubi. He exclaimed with a broad grin. Kurama. Naruto cocked his brow. Huh? Please address me as Kurama. He explained calmly. Certainly. Naruto gave him a thumbs up, which made the fox chuckle slightly. So, what exactly were you saying? You said you promised Ka-san you'd protect me, didn't you? Kurama gave a nod. So, why did you come out now? Why is this happening now? Not when I needed assistance? Don't look at me, Kit. Blame your father. He drew his arms across his chest and turned away. The seal he created was so powerful that I couldn't even temporarily lend you some chakra or my power. Really? So that's why you couldn't talk to me. He began tapping his chin with his index finger. Who was my father? According to what you said, he must be very strong. Naruto returned the Kyuubi's gaze. Naruto, it's not my place to tell you. But I can tell you that it's been a long time since he passed away. He gave his life for the sake of the village and died as a hero. Oha, Naruto exhaled, his voice tinged with sadness. He may not have known Minato, but based on what Kurama is saying, his father must be a wonderful man and a devoted shinobi to the village. Anyway, I didn't want to talk to you just to make you cry for your parents, Kit. Naruto had a puzzled expression on his face as he looked at him. I know you want to see both of your parents, but this is much bigger than that. It's all about your vision. Do you know anything about them? Naruto inquired. Of course, Kurama replied, a tick mark appearing on his head. I have eyes, you know, and I can see everything you see, so stop treating me like an idiot who knows nothing because you're clearly the idiot here. He remarked, making Naruto shudder in fear. I'm sorry, he said weakly in a high-pitched voice. Kurama inhaled deeply. Anyway, do you remember the scroll you received? Naruto gave a nod. Do you understand everything that was written? The blonde nodded once more. You understand how it passed down from generation to generation, right? Naruto nodded again. But do you know how your eyes were created, Kit? Naruto paused for a moment before shaking his head. Now that you mention it, I'm curious how the old man created these eyes. The scroll didn't say anything either, Kurama. The fox narrowed his eyes and began to think deeply. Just as I thought. This is surely interesting. Hey, what are you rambling on about? I'm right here, you know. Kurama looked at Naruto with a serious expression on his face. Kit, do you remember the white stuff that you saw come out of the rocks earlier? He asked and Naruto nodded. Do you know what it is? The blonde shrugged his shoulders. Pretty sure it's just smoke or something. Kit, you have no idea how wrong you are. Huh? That white substance you saw earlier wasn't smoke. It was chakra. He explained, causing Naruto to widen his eyes in shock. How do you know? Kurama grunted. I recognize that chakra when I feel it. The moment you tried to touch it earlier, I knew whose chakra it belonged to. I believe it's what caused the seal that was holding me captive here to vanish. That chakra was so strong that it overpowered your father's seal. It was too familiar for me, and it brought back memories. What do you mean? Kit, the chakra that just went inside your body was none other than the chakra of the Sage of the Six Paths himself. The blonde's eyes had widened to the size of saucers as he tried to take in every detail. What? How? That doesn't even make sense. I mean, why would the Sage of the Six Paths chakra be attracted to me? What, am I some kind of magnet for chakra to be drawn to? I don't know about that yet, Kit. But I can guarantee you that the chakra that went inside you is the chakra of the Rikudo Sennin. I would know since he was my father. When he saw Naruto about to ask what he meant by that, he raised his hand to silence him. Yes, he was my father. Not biologically, but he did create me. Long ago, the Rikudo Sennin made 9 separate living entities of chakra that he called the tailed beasts. Because I am the 9 tails, I was one of them. The other tailed beasts may be roaming the world right now, or they may be trapped inside Jinchurikis like you. When I feel it, I know it's the Rikudo Sennin chakra. Did you receive it? Naruto gave a nod. Are you still going to doubt me? He inquired quietly. And no, Naruto replied quickly, causing the fox to smirk. Naruto pouted and turned away as a memory flashed through his mind. Well, given that you assisted Ka-san during her battles, do you think you could assist me as well? Naruto tried to appear as innocent as possible in the hopes that the beast would approve. Kurama looked him over from head to toe before clearing his throat. No, he said flatly, his face flushed with disappointment and surprise. May I inquire as to why? Naruto tried to sound sweet and kind, but Kurama could tell it was a ruse, forcing him to bite back a chuckle. First and foremost, I am not some sort of hidden weapon you possess. Second, you have strong eyes. Why would you need me? Third, I promised your mother that I would give you my full power when you proved yourself worthy. And what will it take for me to be deserving of it? When I say so, he mocked, prompting Naruto to grunt loudly in response. Ah, don't cry, big baby, he said. In times of emergency, I can still lend you a little bit of my power and chakra. He continued, causing Naruto to smile briefly but retain his main expression of disappointment. Are you going to help me train for my strange powers, though? He asked, sadly shaking his head. Kit, I'm afraid not. To be honest, I'm still fascinated by what your eyes can see. I'd love to assist you, but I need to learn more about your eyes because this is the first time I've seen jutsu in this form. Ask me again once I'm familiar with your abilities, and I'll assist you in training. Got it? Of course, no problem. Naruto smiled and gave a thumbs up. So we're on the same page now. Kit, you should go back to your own world. The fox yawned loudly and lied down on his stomach, exhausted. I'm done for the night. I'll see you in the morning. He finished before falling asleep. Back in real life. Naruto's eyes slowly opened, and he felt cold soil beneath him. He sat up and realized he was at the bottom of the small crater where the comet had earlier crashed. He noticed his hands flaring orange chakra and recognized it as Kurama's chakra due to the distinct color and sensation. I guess I wasn't dreaming. Naruto reflected. Wow, I had no idea the Kyuubi was such a nice guy. He was described in all the stories I've heard as he was cut off from his thoughts when he heard different voices in the distance. Where did it go down? It must be somewhere around here. I think I saw something over there. How about this side? The blonde narrowed his eyes and turned his head in the direction of the voices. I can't have people seeing me here. I've got to get home. He finished, covering himself in bright light before flying out of the place, just as the voices got closer. When Hiruzen, Kakashi, and the Anbu squad they brought with them arrived at the crash site, they were all relieved to see that there had been no forest fires or anything worse. A wisp of yellow light in the air that Kakashi and the Hokage could see clearly drew their attention. Hiruzen cleared his throat after the two exchanged glances. Captain, please search the area, he requested of the Anbu captain. We need to be certain that nothing bad happened here. The Anbu nodded, and they all dispersed in different directions to begin their search. Kakashi looked at the Sandaime after they had left. Do you think Naruto might have a— Before he could finish, Hiruzen had already raised his hand to stop him. It's obvious that the boy came here, Kakashi, Hiruzen said. That yellow light we saw earlier was undoubtedly caused by his meteor, my boy. So, what do you think he was doing here? How am I to know, Kakashi? The Hokage replied, kicking away a small comet rock fragment. Can't we just hope that boy doesn't do anything out of the ordinary? Kakashi gave a nod. I'm curious what he was doing here. From here, Hokage-sama, he could have been watching the comet. I already know that. I'm talking about what he was doing here in this crater. The masked Junin took a moment to look around him before shrugging his shoulders. By the way, Kakashi, did you know Jiraiya was going to return to the village tomorrow? Really? Kakashi asked, slightly surprised. He has always admired Jiraiya's Icha Icha series and reads it wherever he goes. Yes. A new book for the Hokage was already narrowing his eyes at him before he could finish his statement, causing Kakashi to scratch his head in embarrassment before clearing his throat. What about Jiraiya-sensei? Hokage-sama, I can tell you that this is an important issue that needs to be addressed. Oh, you'll find out tomorrow, my boy, Hiruzen said, a small smile on his face. The next day, Naruto's apartment. With a start, Naruto awoke. After a kip up to get out of bed, he went to his kitchen to make himself a quick bowl of ramen before heading to the old man's office to request his scroll so that he could train. After flying away from the sage's comet crash site, he stopped at the Hyuga compound to check on Hinata and see if she had returned safely. He returned to his apartment to call it a night, but not before flying away from an angry mob of villagers, as he always did. Hello, Kurama. You up? He asked the tailed beast inside him. To show that he was awake, the Kyuubi opened only one eye. What exactly do you want, Kit? He asked. How do you feel about the fact that we've finally met? What kind of query is that? Nothing. I just want to know your thoughts on our current situation. I mean, we can talk now, unlike back then, when I had no idea you wanted to talk to me so badly. HMPH. Can't say I'm overjoyed to be able to talk to you now, Kit, he grumbled. But I'm relieved that the seal that was holding me back is no longer there. So I guess I should thank Rikudo Jiji for his chakra. He burst out laughing like a lunatic, causing Naruto to perspire. Sure thing, you big wuss. I was simply attempting to Kit, be quiet. Kurama responded defensively. I sense someone's presence in your home. Naruto cocked his brow. I'm not sure what it is, but it appears that this person wishes to speak with you. Wait, I'm not sure if it's even a person. And where do you believe this person is? Naruto inquired. Simply sitting in your living room. But be cautious. I don't think it's a good idea to Calm down, Kurama. Naruto was certain. From what you described, it appears that Hina-chan came over early to see me. Naruto exclaimed confidently. She must be very excited to see me because we weren't together last night. He concluded before heading to his living room. Kit, I'm not sure if before Kurama could finish, Naruto cut him off. Don't be concerned, Kurama. This is mine. Fine. Don't come to me in tears when the person outside is an enemy. The fox grumbled as he closed both of his eyes, falling asleep. Naruto closed his eyes and threw his arms out wide as soon as he left the kitchen and entered the living room. Nice to see you, Hina-chan. He said cheerfully. What about a hug? After a few seconds, nothing happened, and he became confused. When he finally decided to open his eyes, the room was empty except for a strange-looking bird perched on the couch. It was about the size of an eagle, with orange feathers that set it apart from other birds in the world because they resembled flames. It had a small feather crest on its head, and Naruto could tell by looking at its wings that they were large. Each wing also had 3 small fingers at the top, similar to a dragon's. Its legs appeared to be half the size of its entire body. Its talons on its 3-fingered feet appeared to be sharp enough to kill a person with a few strikes. Its face was spotless, with no feathers obscuring its features. Its beak was about the length of its head, but what made the creature stand out were its eyes. They were 4 different colors that separated the pupil. Colors include orange, brown, blue, and white. In a nutshell, it was a phoenix. Naruto walked slowly over to the bird and scratched his head when he noticed it was just staring at him. Hello, little guy. He tried to appear innocent, though he wondered how he could get the bird to leave without provoking it, as he didn't want bird poop to ruin his home. Have you gotten lost, little one? Would you like me to accompany you to your nest? What followed was indescribable for the blonde. The strange-looking bird bowed its head and knelt to its knees like a servant to its king, causing Naruto's eyebrows to scrunch in confusion. Even Kurama, who was awake, watched on confused. Master Uzumaki. The bird spoke in a neutral tone, causing both Naruto and Kurama to widen their eyes in shock at the phoenix. It's good to finally see you. YYUC can talk? Exclaimed Naruto, taking a few steps back in surprise. The bird nodded its head. Are you some kind of T-tailed beast or something like Kurama? How can you talk? He asked, unable to comprehend that the bird just spoke. I assure you that I am not Kurama, Matabi, Gyuki, or any of the other tailed beasts. The phoenix continued with its blank tone, making both Naruto and Kurama widen their eyes even more, especially the fox. How did the bird find out about him or the other Biju? And how can it even communicate? It was just an ordinary animal. Instead, I am a phoenix. An elemental phoenix. I can control and manipulate the 5 natural elements around us. You can call me Mika. I was sent here to serve as your summon, Master Uzumaki. Whoa, wait just a minute. Naruto waved his arms frantically as if to stop the bird from speaking. He took a few deep breaths in order to calm down. Now, what in the name of the sage are you talking about, Mika? He asked calmly, trying to recall the name of the phoenix. I was told to give you this as soon as I meet you, Mika replied, pulling a small roll of paper from the small bag it was carrying on its back and handing it to Naruto. The blonde took it and started reading it. I see you've finally gotten to know the Uchtengan, young Naruto. I can't deny my admiration for your growing strength, but this is only the beginning of your journey. There is still so much for you to learn, and I am giving you one of the gifts I mentioned the last time I spoke to you. Mika, an elemental phoenix, is her name. She will answer your summons and gladly assist you throughout your journey. Her abilities should not be underestimated, as her race is unique. Kurama, don't treat her like a pet, but as a friend and partner, like the Biju inside you. Take care of her, and I'll write again soon. May the stars' guidance shine brightly on you always, young Uzumaki. P.S. Mika is unfamiliar with your planet's cultures and traditions, Naruto. Do you think you could teach her some of the ways you people there live? I don't have the strength or time to teach her now that I'm an old man. Please? In addition, I promised you 2 gifts, the first of which is Mika. Be patient, because you will receive the second one soon. Naruto finally understood when he finished reading the contents of the letter. He looked at Mika, who was still staring at him with a neutral expression on her face. He returned his gaze to the paper before returning his gaze to Mika. He did this several times before finally making his decision. He took a deep breath and walked closer to the bird, grinning sheepishly. So we're going to be partners from now on? Mika gave a nod. First and foremost, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. Mika, it's a pleasure to meet you, he declared animatedly.
That's it for today. If you enjoy this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.